We're talking about the annual meeting of China's National People's Congress. It's closed in Beijing. Around 3,000 delegates convened in the Great Hall of the People for the session. The NPC is the highest decision-making body of state power that meets yearly to approve policies, laws, the budget and significant personnel changes. Our correspondent Martin Patience is in Beijing and he says nothing unexpected has happened so far.
Well, we just did a press conference from Premier Li Keqiang. There was no surprises at that press conference. In fact, the questions beforehand, they're pre-approved. He did, however, talk about the issue of pollution. This, of course, is an issue of grave public concern in China. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had suffocating, choking smog in Beijing, and he talked about the long-term impact of that, saying that pollution, the fight against pollution, would be long-term. He then turned his attention to the economy, talking about the need to strike a balance between growth and pollution. The annual growth target here is 7.5%. Now, that would be the envy of many countries in the West. The reason Li Keqiang says they need such high growth is to ensure people's livelihoods, their earnings. But I think critics will say what's happening here is the government putting off difficult decisions. It's pushing economic reforms that need to be undertaken. The government says that itself, but it's putting that decision off, kicking it down the road for a later day.
Of course, Martin, much focus as well from outsiders actually trying to get a grip as to how the authorities work, how the machinations come through. Can you give us a little bit more insight into that? Because it's quite different, isn't it, to Western powers?
Well, basically, 3,000 delegates, around 3,000 delegates come to Beijing. The agenda is all pre-approved. This is routinely described as a rubber stamp parliament. The reason for that is that this parliament has never rejected a bill. So what it's about is political theatre. It's about to show unity. It's about the authorities. And let's not forget it's the Communist Party that's in power here, but they want to show that they're reaching out to the people, building consensus, and also, I think, showing the leaders going about their jobs. What was interesting about Li Keqiang during this press conference, which is carried across China, is that he was humorous. He was referring to reporters by their name. He was talking to journalists from Hong Kong. So certainly he was bolstering, burnishing his image as a man of the people.
Martin Patience there. Well, let's get more on the NPC, because that's what